We are so excited to announce the newest sponsor of the Success NP podcast. Picmonic is a quick and effective aid to help you pass your NP boards. They utilize 2-minute videos that connect difficult to remember facts with unforgettable characters. By tying facts together into ridiculously memorable stories, you'll be able to retain the information for test day. They help reinforce what you learn and track your progress with thousands of built-in rapid review multiple choice quizzes. The use of the intelligent space repetition algorithms automatically adjust to your learning needs, so you'll be reminded to review the right information at the right time, increasing long-term retention. Picmonic is also integrated into the True Learn question bank, so you can study exactly what you need and test your knowledge. Check them out today if you're preparing for board. Link in the show notes. Attention, all nurse practitioners and NP students. Are you tired of feeling the disconnect between clinical rotations and didactic teaching? Say hello to Success NP's clinical booklet guides.
As NPs ourselves, we know how valuable it is to have a resource that helps bridge the gap between clinical and class. So we created the digital resource to do just that. Our clinical booklets cover 5 major NP tracks: psych, adult, peds, family, and women's health. Success NPs wants to create tools and provide support NPs need to thrive in their careers.
So why wait? Check out our Success NP Etsy shop, linked in the show notes, for our digital guides and other digital clinical resources. Hi, Success NP. This is your host, Sandra. And today we are joined by Justin Allan. He is the head in the ultimate, who needs no introduction, elite NP, who came onto my podcast in episode 49 of the Dr. Nurse podcast. He came on, shook things up. He's my most viral video on YouTube, one of my most listened to podcast episodes. The guy that needs no introduction. I feel like I'm on an episode of Kill Tony. He's got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in nursing. He owns his own men's health practice, and he owns the Elite NP course creation business. And he's here today to drop more gems, to cause more controversy, to stir the pot. Welcome, Justin, to the Success NP podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on here. I might not stir it as much as I used to. I've grown up a little bit.
Oh, man. Well, we'll be looking forward to anything you can share with us, as always,
Sure.
Justin. Yes.
Okay.
So let's start kind of, for the listener that's like, who's this guy? Go listen to episode 49, guys. He'll share his whole journey on there, and definitely unfiltered. So we love that. But he's going to come on today and tell us a little bit about kind of the more of the course creation side and kind of what inspired him to start creating courses for NPs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see, it started in 2019. I created a blog, right? And so that blog basically just talked about issues within the nurse practitioner field that I didn't like. You know, I remember sitting in NP school and just being like, what the are we talking about here? Like, what is this? Like, I remember just sitting there just like this, just in class, just like, I'd fall asleep and I was like, what is this? This is complete nonsense.
Yeah.
So basically, I created a blog and wrote about what I thought was just nonsense within nursing, nurse practitioner field, et cetera.
Yeah.
And at that point, the following grew, because I realized there's a lot of other nurse practitioners out there that feel the exact same way I do, but no one had the balls to speak up. So like, I didn't care, like whatever. So that's how it started. And then we, developed our first course. So the objective was to help the nurse practitioner kind of start their own practice. So I started with my men's health course, how to start a men's health clinic. And then from there, we just, I started listening to the community, right? I started listening to the nurse practitioners and what they wanted. And so we just kept developing more courses on how to, learn various niche skills, hormone replacement therapy, weight loss, et cetera, and how to open up your practice. So that's kind of what we did. And I don't know, 5 years later now, it's doing pretty good. So we've helped thousands of NPs start their own practice. So
yeah. Your Facebook group is blowing up. Tons of nurse practitioners are tuning into your podcast to hear the things that you're saying on how to set themselves free from the rat race of working in the hospital setting. And you said that on my first podcast, that it's like the market's saturated. We're having to take whatever morsels are coming from the hospital. We just hope that we can pay our own bills. But when we realize what we're capable of doing on our own, I feel like you've given a lot of NPs the ability to feel that self-empowerment, that I can do this myself, I can create something. And what an incredible thing that you've been able to do by creating a course to then set other nurse practitioners on this journey for themselves. And so I just think that's so great. For more people that are wanting to hear like how he got started, his life, that's on episode 49. So go check that out. But how did you identify those gaps? You talk a little bit about that. I figured out what the community needs and I filled in the gap. What did you notice that made you go, let's just make a course on that? Like, hey, somebody came to me and said that. Like, how did you find those gaps? Because that's really part of, I think, the struggle with a lot of what nurse practitioners try to do is figuring out when they're trying to create their own business, like, where is the gap in my community that I can go fill?
Right. So you basically just answered it. So like, it's the community, right? So with any kind of business, it doesn't matter if it's a clinic, a course business, a restaurant, like it makes no difference what the business is. You have to just basically listen to the customer. You have to listen to what basically people are talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, with the Elite Nurse Practitioner, I would literally just be in the Elite NP Facebook group. I would listen to emails, I would listen to messages and stuff, and I would just listen to what people wanted, right? So instead of Sarah trying to come up with this brand new idea and trying to shove in people's face, instead of doing that, just listen to what they want and deliver it. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with a clinic, right? Like if your area lacks hormone replacement therapy or a weight loss clinic or something, well, why don't you deliver that need? You know what I mean? So that's really what it is. You just listen to what people are wanting, listen to their pain points, listen to their problems, and then develop a solution for that problem. If you can do that, you got a business. It's really that simple.
Yeah, that's really smart. So how did you decide on the topics for your courses? So you identify the need. So these are the topics I'm going to say, because not every mountain you can fight, right, Justin? Like you can't fight every mountain. So how did you pick the mountains that you were going to make courses around?
Yeah. So it's just like, again, it was just listening to people on the Facebook group, right? So like, I remember when we developed the women's hormone replacement therapy course, there was people commenting on the Facebook group, why don't you have a women's HRT course? Okay, well, let's develop one, right? What about weight loss, for example? You have a weight loss course. Well, let's develop a weight loss course. So I would just listen to people's comments, people's complaints, people's desires, people's needs. And then I would tally it up, to be honest with you. Like I'd create a Google Doc.
Smart.
And I would like tally up how many times people asked for this. And I'm like, okay, they got to a few dozen, then I probably have a good idea, right? And, I've developed courses before where there wasn't a whole lot of demand for it. A lot of people weren't asking for it, but I developed it anyways. And those are the courses that didn't do as well, right? Right. So I shoved something in someone's, I shoved it in their face and it didn't do well, right? So at this point, it's like, just listen to your customer, listen to what they want.
Yeah.
Kind of how we came up with the course ideas, right? And so,
for the booklets that we made, you know what I did? I probed a bunch of nurse practitioners and said, what do you want your students to know when they come to clinicals? And they told us, they were like, this is what we're noticing. This is what they're lacking when they come to clinicals. And so me and my girlfriend just sat down and filled the need. And that is our best-selling booklet. I mean, it is easy to just sell what people are needing and then to market it that way, right? Like I don't have to market it to people that are telling me what they need. That need is already being filled. And I think the part that I feel like is the self-development part, the part that requires me to kind of step up is to then create the best product that is going to show the most quality and the most return on your investment. And that's the part as the nurse creator I love, because it's the self-development part. The only part that I can actually change, the only part that I can actually influence is how great of a product do I provide? And are we providing the best product on the market? And I believe, Justin, that you are the best. Like you are 100% the best, the elite NP to do this. And so it is a safe bet that if you get a course from Justin, you're going to be getting the best bang for your buck. It's going to be the thing to set you up because he has just done his darndest to create the best product. And I think that's what I also like about entrepreneurship. And you talk to a lot of NPs on your podcast about creating their own businesses, but that self-development is something that I know you're super good at, and identifying within, each nurse story, how they can improve, right?
Sure. Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of identifying that pain point, right? So these NPs, these nurses that you've talked with, they gave you pain points and then you created the solution for it and developed a booklet, right?
Yes.
And the ones that you did that for was your best selling product.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And so it helped develop your mindset to understand that point, but it also helped develop their mindset by giving them the solution to those pain points, right? So that's really what it just comes down to. And so if you market anything in any business, you have to hammer those pain points.
Yeah.
So if you create an ad on Facebook or Google, pain point, your solution and the benefit to that, that's literally the recipe for a successful ad.
Yeah. You know what is so funny too? I think, and I'm going to just challenge nurses, and again, I might be stirring the pot. A lot of people don't want to spend the time to develop the remedy for the pain point. Like they just want the pain to go away. I just want the pain to stop. And it's like, well, what if you identify this pain point and then you work on fixing it yourself? Don't be looking for somebody else to do it. How can I fix the pain point that you're noticing in school? You're right there in it. You're right in this thick of whatever that problem is. Why not you solve it, nurse? Why don't you solve it, nurse practitioner? Figure it out what it is. I wish there was a pediatric friendly NP that had a walk-in clinic. Okay, well, go make it. Like that is the whole thing. This is the whole thing that Justin's been talking about, that I've been talking about. Like figure out where the gaps are and fill it yourself if you can, especially if it's something that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, please don't go fill it because you're going to be miserable and everyone else is going to be miserable around you. But if you enjoy that, which is something that you do, you enjoy making courses, like talking about another course, you're like 700 pages. I'm like, that's awful. I don't want to do that. I don't want to make a 700-page course. Pass. But that lights you up. So you got to go do that, man. Like that's the thing that I want more nurses to hear.
And another thing too is that, like you said about they don't want to solve the pain point. I think in general, it doesn't matter if you're a nurse, a doctor, accountant, a teacher. It makes no difference who you are. It's just human nature. People will pay you to solve their problem. And so if you can identify a pain point and create a solution that you can charge for, people are going to pay you for it because at the end of the day, people are just kind of lazy and they just want to be told what to do. Like, I mean,
Love
it.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, it totally is.
Yeah.
So do you prefer self-paced courses, live training, or a hybrid approach? And why?
I think the hybrid approach is probably best. So a lot of people like live webinars, right? Because they like to ask questions. So, with the Elite MP Inner Circle, our membership, we have question and answer sessions where it's an hour or two of just me answering questions. So it's more of a live thing. So people like that interaction, but also people in general like to have something that's on demand. They like something that's convenient, right? And so that's another thing too about business in general is that if you can deliver convenience, then people are going to eat it up. So like, I like both, but personally, I think having something more on demand is usually what's going to be more successful than, just having something live all the time because, people have to fit it around their schedule. They have to show up at a certain time to see the live thing. So instead, they can be on a plane doing something that's on demand whenever they want. They can open up like a book, going to class, for example.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because I signed up for Amy Porterfield's marketing class one time and it was out of time. Like I paid to go and I'm sure it was during one of the kids' naps. And so I was like unrealistically like, oh, I'm going to be able to make that. And then of course it was a disaster. We had a blowout. Somebody, didn't get their nap in. So they're just like a drunk toddler, like angry. And so, no, I didn't go to the course. And so I just threw that money down the drain. And so now it makes me not want to buy that stuff ever again. Cause I'm like, I'm never going to make time for this. So I agree with you. I think that kind of allowing people to kind of come back in and out, if I can make a live course, great. I think that's a better process for sure. And then how do you make sure that your courses remain up to date and evidence-based? Because that's one of the things that I've noticed, because with our booklets, we have to update them every year, which is a ton of time, a ton of energy, because the concepts in them change, right? So things get updated, guidelines change. So how are you doing that with your courses?
I mean, it's mostly something new comes out, right? A new regulation surrounding medical cannabis, for example. We're going to need to pop that in the medical cannabis course, as an example. The weight loss course was developed before GLP-1s came on the market. So obviously you had to pop that in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you just have to stay up to date with it and make sure that what you're updating is something that's actually relevant to what it is that you're doing. Because I mean, if you wanted to update it consistently and constantly, I mean, you would be updating it every single month because there's new medical literature coming out all the time. So you really have to determine what's truly a value add and what's not, some things just aren't a value add compared to other things. I mean, including GLP-1s in our weight loss course was a huge value add. That was worth the effort, right? And then evidence-based things, this is the thing about evidence-based medicine or just evidence-based research in general, is that for everything that you can find that says this, you can find something over here that says the opposite thing.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean,
True. It's true.
That's kind of thing
you pay more money for their lobbying.
Right. Yeah.
Man's gonna get flagged. Let's start that bot.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things, I'm all for evidence-based medicine, but at the same time, use some critical thinking here, guys. Some of it's, for every study that's over here, you can find what's over here, that's conflicting data. I think you have to use a lot of anecdotal experience plus some evidence-based things and do a combination of both. Our courses are a combination of both, right?
Yeah.
It's the experience that I have. It's the experience this other nurse practitioner has in her clinic or his clinic or whatever. And you combine that with evidence-based guidelines and research and stuff to come to a conclusion that makes sense. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about patient safety. So even if something's not entirely evidence-based, as long as you can find data that supports it and it's safe, and at the end of the day, if the patient walks away and they feel better, isn't that your goal anyways, right? And so, it's like most things in medicine, if you just gave it time, 90% of the stuff would just go away on its own.
Yeah. Sometimes even just letting patients talk about it, it goes away on its own.
Right, exactly. There's these lipo B injections from compounding pharmacies, you take this lipo shot, it's supposed to dissolve your fat. I mean, horse. It's a placebo. That's just what it is.
Yeah, to change your vision so you stop seeing it. Doesn't go away.
Take it and they lose weight. It's just a placebo. It's what it is. There's no evidence behind that stuff works. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So you just critically think when you read this stuff, So that's kind of what we do. We try to, it's a combination of, anecdotal evidence, anecdotal experiences with evidence-based stuff. So you kind of combine that to actually create the art of practice versus just the science of it. So,
yep. The art in medicine. Yep.
Right.
And I think that's the other misconception people have about course creation or creating digital products. And I think that people think you just do it one time and you just let it just exist in the universe. And it's not. You are constantly having to come back and manage it. And one of the things my dad always says is everything is what you think it is until it's not. And so everyone thinks that oh man, you create this course and you just walk away from it and you make all this money. And it's no, in actuality, when you create a course, you're always trying to make it better. You're constantly improving it. You're trying to find ways to, get it accredited. You're always trying to find some way to increase the value of what it is that you're creating. So don't go into this game thinking that it's going to be just one-time work and then step away. No, you're going to be grinding. You're going to be grinding every day. You're going to be finding ways to grind on it better. Or it's just going to fall by the wayside and it's not going to have much value over time. There is no truly passive income because everything requires some type of maintenance and, care, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's nothing static about a business.
There's nothing.
There's not. It's not a static thing,
Yeah.
If you have a business and you start thinking about it from a static perspective, okay, I've created, it's done, now I'm just going to sit back. You'll make money and you'll do okay for a period of time, and then it'll just start going down. So it's contentment, and you can't be content with a business. And that's what happens to a lot of people. They become content, and then the business becomes static, stagnates, plateaus, and then eventually it just starts going down because you have someone else over here that sees it not as a static business, and they're going to come in and steal market share from you. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any business, doesn't matter what kind of business it is. You can't have it be static. It's a living, breathing thing, and you have to treat it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. It's a living, breathing thing. So Justin, your confidence, man. I love it. It brings me so much joy. I love talking with you. I just feel like your energy around stuff. I'm just I want to go do something. I don't know. I listen to your episode whenever I need that boost to my, go get it type energy. So, but you haven't, maybe you have always been this way. Maybe you came out of your mother's womb you can do it. You did it. See, I know you could. Or did you overcome your self-doubt and your imposter syndrome that you had around creating courses? Because that's been a huge thing. I mean, when Jackie and I sell a book, sometimes we're still like, is that book good enough? Like, are we sure we did a good job on that? Like it's still there, even after years of what we've been doing. So how did you overcome that? Did you ever struggle with that, Justin? Or no, not a problem. I, came out confident. Tell me where you're at, Justin.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I was pretty confident about it just because you have to realize that anybody, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, whatever. Every single successful person in the world started off as a novice. Every single one of them have, right?
Good.
Every single person did. No one's born and then just becomes this successful person. It just doesn't happen, right? And so you have to change your mindset and realize that every single person starts somewhere. And when you realize that, you understand that imposter syndrome in general is just, it's kind of a term because every single person is technically an imposter when they first start. Every single person is, right? Doesn't matter who you are. So when you change your mindset to believe that, you can just become confident in it because every single person has to start somewhere and just go into it with confidence, realizing that what's the worst that's going to happen? People don't accept you. People don't like what you're doing. Okay, well, boo-hoo, all right, just keep living your life. It's not the end of the world, right? So I never really suffered much from imposter syndrome. I take that back. When I first started my first practice, I did feel like a little bit of an imposter just because I was like, what the hell am I doing? I have no clue what I'm doing here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I feel like that's normal. Like, yeah, normal. Feel like you can't fix normal.
Right. Exactly. That's completely normal. You have no idea what you're doing because it's new to you.
Yeah.
You can take a course, you can read a book, you can listen to a podcast and stuff. But at the end of the day, you still got to do it, right? Like you still have to take the step and actually do it. So you're still going to experience those emotions. But what you have to realize is that that's just your monkey brain. That's the part of your brain that is trying to protect you from something that's unknown, right?
Yeah.
Something that's unknown. And so your subconscious is saying, hey, wait a second here. You got this nice cushy job over here where you make $130,000 a year and you got your benefits, healthcare insurance and 401k matches. It's complete garbage that handcuffs you to something, right? It's complete nonsense. But your subconscious is telling you this is what's safe, right? This is what's safe. And so your subconscious throwing in little thoughts into your mind, these little, you're sitting here you'll be driving and then these little kind of thoughts just spring out of nowhere. They just come out of nowhere. Hey, you can't do this. This is not safe. What if you go bankrupt? What if you get sued? What if you blah, 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 blah. What if, all these what if that never happen. But it's your subconscious trying to protect you, to keep you safe in the nice, cozy job that you have with your benefits and your 401k match and the dream of Social Security when you turn 65. It's just a safety net that you have to realize that it's just a little part of your brain that's trying to trick you to stay safe. Just don't listen to it. Just push through it. If you can do that, imposter syndrome just doesn't happen. Like you just become confident because you realize that's just your brain just playing tricks on you. And that's really with anything in life, right? It's not even just a business. It's relationships. It's working out. It's taking adventures. It's going on vacations. There's always that little voice in the back of your head that's there feeding you these thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are you, right?
Yeah. I always tell I tell my 5-year-old, your feelings are not facts. That's one thing. Feelings are not facts. Another thing that I always turn back to, what I hear you describing is fear. Like there's no other way to describe what that is besides being afraid. And that's normal, but you can't ever grow if you are not uncomfortable. You will never grow as a provider, as a nurse practitioner. You just won't. You will always be safe and small. And the only way you grow are in those scary moments of expansion. It's like, okay, I'm going to take on this new thing. I'm going to learn how to rent property. It's like, it's scary. What if it all falls apart? I'm going to open but what if I can't make enough money? They all say these things and it's fear. And that's why I feel like one of the biggest things and how you're doing something probably good for you is, are you afraid? That's always the thing that I always check. I'm like, am I scared? Perfect. It's probably where I need to go. That's the direction, and it's so scary to get into that mode of just turning off that subconscious safety net that you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And there's always a challenge too that happens that kind of like test your resolve. So when I went part-time, I was like, how are we going to make money? I don't know. And then my husband, I went part-time. I was like, I'm doing it. I'm scared. I'll do it scared. And then my husband lost his job. And I was like, oh my God, I need to go back to work. Like, I started panicking. And then I was like, no, burn the ships. I'm not going back. I don't know what you're going to do. You got to get a job at McDonald's. I don't care what you do. I'm just not going back. I don't know how we were going to make it. I have no clue. But I just knew that feeling of like, we're just not going to do it. I just cannot let this go. And so anyway, I just feel like that's that voice of fear. And fear will always make you small. It will never grow you. And you will always regret the times that you let yourself shrink into fear, and never the times that you were just like, you know what? We shot our shot, man. And it didn't work, but at least we went for it. And you just look at it that way. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. Fear is the dream killer. Like, that's what it is. Fear will destroy your dreams. Fear will prevent you from doing anything in life. It doesn't even matter if it's starting a business, even like going, on
running a marathon.
Going on a crazy vacation, asking someone out that you really like, whatever. It's just any kind of fear is going to prevent you from achieving a dream, right? So fear is the dream killer. And just realize that these fears are literally just an evolutionary trait inside of our brain. It's that fear of this saber-toothed tiger taking you down, right? It's this fear of the fire going out when you're a nomadic Paleolithic Indian. The fire goes out. What do? It's this fear that made us become the apex creature on this planet. So that fear is completely necessary. We wouldn't be here as a species, right? We just wouldn't be. Yeah. But unfortunately, we've evolved out of that. We're in modern day society. It's 30 degrees outside. I'm sitting in an ice condo. It's 75 degrees and I'm comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But still, there's that fear inside you. It's not going to go away. It's a trait that made us who we are. It's what made humans. And so you have to realize that you're going to be okay. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You are in a first world country. You're not going to go hungry. You're not going to go without a home. You're going to be just fine. What's the worst case? You're a nurse practitioner. You start your own practice. It fails. What's the worst case situation there? You go get another job. Right. You go to the hospital.
Take it back. Come back.
Right. Exactly. You can't listen to that. Don't listen to the fear. Don't listen to that little voice in the back of your head. It's complete nonsense. You know?
Yeah. And I was thinking as you were talking, like, there's the monkey mind, right? That like amygdala hijacking thing that you have. I think I read about that, The Art of Not Giving an F, which is a terrible title, but it said The Art of Not Giving, like he talks about that, like the fear factor that we all have.
Wait a second. That's an awful title, but that guy sold millions of copies of that book. So whatever.
That book is wonderful.
It is.
It's a wonderful book. I just couldn't listen to it with my kids in the background because he said something and then my little one just verbatim spit it out. It was like the worst part of that book. So I was like, that's
yeah.
It's so good. But what I love about that book, and I've talked about it on another episode, about when he's standing on the cliff, that book, oh my gosh. And he hears his monkey mind just like, don't get close to the edge, don't get close. And he just kept walking closer through it. And so it made me think that fear is one of those things that you have to manage. It's not something you can just let control you. You have to manage it. And I think that's the hard part for a lot of people, is recognizing that voice and then learning how to speak over it, kind of with the monk mind, right? Like, talk truth to yourself. I'm not going to be hungry. I'm not going to be like, what's the worst that's going to happen? We just sell the house if we can't get a rent. Like, you just go through all these things that if you're trying to learn something new, or what's the worst that happens if my business fails? Okay, the hospital will welcome you back. Like, walk through all those fears and just tell yourself it's going to be okay. Like, outside of losing my life, everything else will be okay. And so, yeah, I think that's great. And then what about a course, like you said, that flopped? Anything else that you can describe? Like, I think you kind of answered this question actually when you were like, hey, I like put out a course. I was like, here, you're going to like that. And then they're like, we're not going to like that. And so don't do that. And so, like, how do you walk through courses that don't work? I mean, what do you learn from those courses?
Well, I guess you learn that, I guess the biggest lesson I learned from that, and this is applicable to any business, is that when you deviate from your business's core mission, when you deviate from your business's core value proposition, the product that you create that deviates from that is going to fail because it goes against the true value proposition of your business. So the Elite Nurse Practitioner is dedicated to help NPs break free and start their own practice, right? And so the courses that align with that mission, with that value proposition, do well. The courses that do not align with that do not do well because the customer base, that's not what they're there for. They're there for the value proposition of the Elite NP. So for example, like, our EKG course, how to read an EKG, that doesn't align with our value proposition really. So the course didn't do that well, right? And so with any business, and see, I didn't realize that until I experienced that, right?
Yes.
So I went through the work, I created these different courses that didn't align with our value proposition. And after about 3 or 4 times, I realized that this does not align with our mission, does not align with our value proposition. And that was a failure. And they weren't a failure. I mean, they're still great courses, but yeah, so I learned that lesson, right? So with anyone who has a business, this is kind of how I propose this, is that you have the name of your business, right? And the name of the business should basically state kind of what you do, right? It should basically align with kind of what it is that you're providing. Below that is your value proposition. That should be like the subheading of the business name. Below that is your mission statement. 3 or 4 sentences that just discusses more of that value proposition and just kind of elaborates more on that. If you can follow that step, name of your business, the value proposition, which is the subheading, and then your mission statement below that, that should be the first thing on your website. Any website that you have, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what kind of business it is. It makes no difference. The name of your business is at the top, your subheading, which is your value proposition, and then your mission statement below that basically just, discusses more about that value proposition. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. It's a flow. Yeah, absolutely. And you're just breaking down how to think, right? Because if you go back to the why on anything, like when I was going part-time, my why was more time with my kids, period. That's been it. It's about that why. So every time when my paychecks come in and they're smaller, I know my why. It's okay. Like, I know why I'm doing it. Because for me, my why drives me to do things differently, focus on different things. It's the source of everything. So if you create a mission statement and says, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we creating what we're creating? That is the goal. That's what the mission is. Then you always kind of focus in on that. Anything that deviates from that, which sometimes you're not going to know. Sometimes you thought that EKG course would do that, but it didn't. It didn't provide that. But at least you tried it and you determined quickly that didn't work and you try something else. You don't give up. You just go, you throw a dart at the dartboard and go, that dart didn't hit. You kind of missed on that. And that's okay. But I think that's the part that you're describing so well is set up your eyes on what you want. Focus in on your mission and then do everything to get you to that goal, right? And that goal has to fill something, fill a niche, fill a need, close a gap, and then create something around that. And I think that that's what a lot of nurse practitioners need to hear. That's really, really good. And then go ahead.
Well, one more thing too. So the value proposition, that is the value that you are providing the world. Okay. So that's like another way to describe it. Because a lot of people hear value proposition. They say, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, that's good.
Your value, it's the value that you're going to offer the world, right? It's what you're proposing. It's a proposition, right? You're proposing this value to the world, right? And so that value, if it solves a pain point, if it solves a problem, then the solution that your business delivers is seen as valuable, right? So you have someone who has this real pain in the ass problem in their life. So I'm just gonna use men's health as an example.
Yeah.
Right? You got a 45-year-old man who's recently divorced and his dick doesn't work. Okay? This is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in a bad spot.
A problem for this man. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a problem. All right.
Yeah.
So if your men's health clinic is going to provide a solution to his erectile dysfunction, okay, that is a very, very big pain point in his life. Okay. That's a problem. Your solution is whatever it is, testosterone replacement therapy, ED meds, whatever, okay? Shockwave therapy, whatever it is, okay? That man sees that solution as valuable. So you are proposing this solution to this problem. That's your value proposition, right? That's how you got to think about it. So
good.
Yeah, you have to create a value proposition for your business. Doesn't matter what business it is. It could be a course business. It could be a clinic. It doesn't matter. So you have to create that value proposition. Your mission statement is the actionable part of that value proposition, right? It's like, how do you explain that? So if my value proposition is helping your penis work, like I'm going to treat your erectile dysfunction. The value proposition of our business is to get you fully functional again so you can enjoy life, right?
Yeah.
Our mission statement is we are dedicated to men by providing them shockwave therapy, erectile dysfunction medication, whatever, to help bring you back to where you were at 20 years ago, right? That's my mission. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it totally does. So what you're describing is how I'm going to solve your problem. That is essentially what you're doing. You're saying, this is the problem. I noticed this pain point. I'm going to provide you the solution through these avenues, either ED, medication, shockwave therapy, injections, whatever it is that we're going to do, we're going to get you back. And you show a guy and he's happy and he's got, his new side thing.
Right. Yeah.
Problem solved. The marketing to boot.
Yeah. And so with the elite nurse practitioner, our value proposition is to help you break free from the rat race of modern medicine. Like, that's kind of our value proposition. I mean, and what's our mission statement? To provide you courses, to provide you content. Our mission is to help you get there, right?
Yeah.
So kind of just how you got to look at any kind of business. If you can figure that out, you got a business, especially if that pain point is actually painful. Yeah. A lot of people identify a pain point that's really not that painful to people. That's not very valuable, right?
Yeah, like just because you think it is. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I want some dessert. So I'm gonna go to this ice cream shop and buy some ice cream. Okay, just because my fat ass wants some ice cream doesn't mean that me going and getting that ice cream is truly valuable. It's really not a very valuable solution, right?
Yeah.
I'm obese and I want to lose some weight. If you can help me lose 100 pounds, that is priceless. That's valuable, right? Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying too. It's finding the problem that's lucrative as well. That makes a lot of sense.
Correct, right? Most people focus on the solution. Most people say, I'm going to open up a weight loss clinic. I'm going to provide weight loss medication, or I'm going to open up a course business. I'm going to teach people how to do this.
Yeah.
They focus on the solution and they only focus on the solution. That's the wrong kind of thinking. Don't focus on the solution. Your goal is to focus on that problem first. Focus on that problem and really hash out that problem to figure out, is that problem truly a problem? And will people pay you to solve it? Is it valuable enough for them to come to you for that, right?
Yeah.
And so, I see people starting cash-based sick visit clinics. Okay, for someone to pay you enough money to make it worth your time, someone has a sore throat, right?
Yeah.
Sore throat sucks. You're not dying. It's not the end of the world. It's a problem. It's an acute problem. It'll probably go away in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
How much money are they going to pay you to fix their sore throat, right? It's
more so than like a penis that doesn't work. Like a penis that doesn't work is going to drive a man to go to the links of the earth. I'm a urology nurse practitioner, so that's what I do all day. But like it's true, right? Like the source of the discomfort is significantly more. I mean, I've seen them where it's like patients are like 90 years old and he's like, my wife is 63. I got to get it up. And I'm like, you're 89. Go find a puzzle and chill, my friend. And she's just sitting there like, please leave me alone. Like, I'm fine. And, but it's true. When they marry a younger wife, it does send them. It's a really big issue. I'm like, but sir, your heart's bad. It's fine. I need to get my penis out. I'm like, oh my gosh. So you're right. Like what you're describing. I mean, again, this is hard for people to hear, but it's true. Like there is an element of this being a very big pain point, more so than this just being a smaller. So you've got to manage your expectations on what you think you're going to bring home, right? I think that's another part too, is managing your expectations about what you think this problem's going to bring home And if
Yeah,
you're okay solving this problem all day long for the ducats that it brings, fine. But if you want to go into something where it's like, no, I want bigger ducats for my time, then you got to solve a bigger problem, because that's where the money is,
correct. The bigger
right?
the problem is, the more money you're going to make solving
Yeah.
that problem. It's as simple as that. So instead of figuring out the solution, instead of focusing on the solution, focus on the problem and
Yeah.
truly think about, is this problem really valuable? Is this really a problem? Is this really a pain point? If it's not, you're going to start a business that's not going to do that well. It's just not going to. So if you can figure out a true pain point, you're going to have a business that's going to be $1 million business. If it is a true pain point, if it is a true problem, you will develop a business that will become $1 million business. I promise you, you will.
Justin, that is so wise and absolutely monumental. And I don't think I've ever had anyone say that to me. I mean, that is just blowing my mind what you're just saying, but I get it. Like, I totally get what you're saying, that the harder the problem, no pun intended on the penis, but the harder the problem, the more money, and you solve it, the more money you're going to make. And the way that you solve it matters. And the way that you overcome and you improve upon your solution matters. And the better that you are at solving the problem, it matters. And so, yeah, I think that is an incredible point to kind of land on for the final question. Oh, yeah, we kind of talked about that. Like, how has your courses helped NPs? And then what do you got next in the lineup? I mean, kind of tell me a little bit about what you got next coming up for NPs to help them in their journeys.
Yeah. So the problem, right, with a nurse practitioner is, you're busting your ass working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. You're taking charting home, and for what, $130,000 a year. Some MPs are able to make $200,000 a year, which is still real. I mean, that's really good money. There's nothing to bitch about $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
What are you sacrificing to get that, though? First of all, right?
Yeah.
You're not working just 40 hours a week. You don't have a cush, easy job. You're busting your ass.
No, you're crushing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're busting your ass.
Yeah. You're giving away your freedom.
You're getting exactly. I was making $200,000 a year working at an urgent care. Yeah. At what cost? Seeing 60.
How many hours
a day?
Oh,
three 12-hour shifts a week. So really not that much.
It's
but
not that
those
bad.
12-hour shifts were absolute hell.
No, they're terrible. Yeah, you're tired.
70 patients, 80 patients in 12 hours. It was awful, right?
Yeah.
And so, I paid the price for that. But like, for nurse practitioners, you're sacrificing your life, and they think that going back to school is going to solve this. You're giving away another 2 years of your limited life for another certification or another degree that's not going to really truly help you out.
Yeah.
And so I guess the whole point of this is that, we taught people how to get out of that, to create their own practice, to create their own business, and like I would teach them certain things on how to invest appropriately, to have your money work for you, build passive income streams, etc. And there have been NPs that I've talked with over the last, 5 years, multiple NPs actually. I mean, I'd probably say, if I was to estimate how many NPs I've talked to who have become millionaires in the last 5 years, I would say at least 50. At least. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've talked to these people, and a lot of these people have sold their practices.
That's how they made it? Like millionaire standing, I don't have to work anymore?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, Justin.
I mean, their business was generating $2-3 million a year net, like profit, because they got into a market that was not saturated, that were, that there was a need, right?
Yeah.
And so there was an NP I talked with in South Texas, in a very rural area of South Texas. And the town was maybe like 20,000 people. So not a very big city, right? I mean, 20,000 people is not a lot of people.
No.
And they opened up, I think it was a male and female NP wife husband combo thing. And they opened up a wellness clinic, and they provided weight loss therapy, hormone replacement therapy, just general wellness services. And they were the only show in town. And they were pretty much the only place in like the county that would provide these services. And people in their county were like farmers, like this is a rural place, right? Their clinic went from 0 to $2 million net in a year and a half because they were the only show in town. So they delivered a need, right? They delivered a need in an area that needed it, right?
Yeah, it was underserved. Yeah.
It was underserved. And these people, they had a pain point, right? These people needed treatment for their obesity, their hormone replacement therapy, whatever. They got into the right place. And this clinic, I think by the time when they sold it, it was like $2.5 million net a year in just 3 years. And they sold that thing for like $8 million.
Well, you're done. And they
They're
have
done.
what, a miserable, how many years did it take them to do that?
3 or 4 years.
Jeez, man.
And they're done. Like,
it's nuts.
it's possible. Like, you can do that. And so Elite MP, like, they just took a few of our courses. They just gave them the steps, and then they took action and did it, right? I mean, they did it. I didn't do it. I just gave them some advice. I gave them some information, right?
That's gonna feel awesome.
Yeah, but like, there's been a lot of MPs that have, that's what's happened for them,
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure, to be part of that. I mean, I love that,
Yeah, exactly.
So, so it's it's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can do it. You just got to find the right place. You got to figure out that pain point, right? You got to find that solution. That's really where it's at. So yeah, no, Elite MP is doing its thing. We're still creating courses. We're doing the membership still. We're doing conferences. The conferences are really fun. I really, really, really enjoy conferences. It's fun to get up there and talk in front of, everyone. So yeah, it's kind of what Elite MP is still doing that. We just released our functional medicine certification. So
good for you.
Yeah. So just an NP only functional medicine certification, it's 10 or 12 courses and then a 300 question, exam you got to take to become certified, because these other functional medicine schools, they're not nurse owned. They're not nurse practitioner focused. They're just, some chiropractor owns this. You're going to listen to a chiropractor and get certified by a chiropractor? Really?
Yeah.
Names behind you, some initials, some letters behind your name, and say that you're certified in functional medicine taught by a chiropractor. Okay. Right. So we try to do something that was more nurse practitioner focused, right?
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
yeah.
And then when's your conference? It's coming up, right? April.
Yeah, end of April is our millionaire conference. So it's a smaller conference, like 50 people, 50, 60 people. Just talking about scaling your business, growing your business to the next level. So it's more advanced topic stuff. And then our yearly conference will be in October. That's going to be in San Diego. So
yeah. Well, Justin, I just think you're so inspirational. Every time I listen to you, like I said, I just get amped. I get excited. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Tear the walls down. Just like, awesome. Thank you so much for your wisdom. And I'm so proud of how much work you've done, and to see the growth from, even just from a while ago. You've created conferences and you just are always growing, and it's so inspirational. And I'm just like, I rep you to everybody. I'm like, check out, like, when nurse practitioners are like, oh, I'm like, check out Elite MP, check him out, because you're creating good stuff, and what you're doing is setting people free. And I'm for that so much. And I'll put all your information in the show notes so everybody can find you and where to get all your stuff. I do rapid fire at the end. Are you down for rapid fire? These are just fun questions that are like about movies and silliness. So you can't prepare for them. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. If you had to pick a person to play you on TV, who would it be?
Matthew McConaughey, I guess.
That's a good one. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then if you had to give a book to someone, what book would it be? You're like, this book right?
Yeah, the power of now. Yeah.
Ooh,
it's called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He's like a Buddhist monk kind of guy. It's called The Power of Now. Basically, it really changed my perspective on life. Essentially, the power of now. It essentially teaches you how to just be present.
Ooh.
Right? Like, just be present in this moment right now, because this is the only moment you truly have. What you have right now is right now. I might walk out of this, get my car, and get hit by a car and die. Like that could happen, right? So truly enjoy what you have right now. Live in the present moment. Living in the past is stupid. It's done. It's gone. It's never going to change. It happened. You can't do anything about it. The future hasn't happened yet. Why worry about it then? You can't do anything about it, right? There's all these people that are freaked out about Donald Trump and what's going to happen to the United States and all. Why are you worried about it? You can't do anything about it. You have no idea what's going to happen 5-3 years from now. You have no idea. All you have is right now. So why don't you worry about right now? Why don't you just live in the moment? And so if you can live in the moment, the way he frames it in the book is, is if you can live in the moment, you can be present, you will literally cure your depression and your anxiety, because depression stems from the past, anxiety stems from the future. So if you live present, those things aren't a problem for you anymore, right? And so it's a great book. Listen to it. Like it's an audio book. You can play it. It's like
I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And the most present teacher are your children. I have never noticed anything more than how present my kids are. And it reminds me to constantly be in this space right here, right now with them. And I find that you're right. So many of the anxieties are cured by just sitting outside and playing sticks with my kid and just hitting sticks and throwing, the ball with him or whatever it is that I'm just living in that moment. There's so much joy. And that's why it's called the present, right? It's a gift. It is a total gift for this moment right now that we're in. And yeah, that is such great advice.
Right. How many times have you played with your kid? I'm just a question for you. You're playing with your kid, right? And, he or she is just absolutely loving playing with these blocks or whatever, right? They are completely present. They are not thinking about anything else other than those blocks. And you're watching them. How many times has your mind been thinking about, your business or something from the past? And you're not even present enjoying your kid. How many times has that happened to you? Because I know it happens to me all the time.
All the time. It's something that burdens me a little bit because of the fact that I run a business and I run the podcast and I'm running all these things, and it takes so much energy to go, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that right now. I have to, it's almost like a constant swatting it away. Like, nope. And that maybe goes a little bit back to that monkey mind of gotta get busy, gotta go do something else. And so it's just like a meditation of be right here, be right now. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And there's almost a presence that I have. I know this is not even part of the podcast, but we're going off on it, to believe that things are going to be working in the background despite what I'm doing. Sometimes I constantly believe I need to be working on something. And I get reminded when something happens serendipitously that it's I didn't even have to do that. I was spending so much energy on this and worried about this. It ended up solving itself. And there's so much that in pride, we think that we can fix. If I get in it, it's maybe if you just let it go, kind of like with our patients, you just stop injecting yourself with stuff, it'll probably get better on its own. So I totally hear what you're saying. I completely agree. And it is a challenge that I have to deal with every day because of what we do is for my job and what I'm processing all the time. So yes. And then the final question, what was your very first job ever, Justin? I want to know, what is baby Justin, 15, I don't know what child labor laws. I don't know how old you were when you started working. What were you doing? What's your first job?
I was 16 and it was at Old Navy.
Oh, you're Old Navy. You were selling the denim. Shut up.
Yeah. So this could have been in 2000 and I don't know, 2001 or something like that. I was still in high school. I graduated high school in 2003. So I think it was my sophomore, junior year. And so it was my first job. It was the summer between sophomore, junior year or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I worked at Old Navy. And back then, all the people at Old Navy would wear the little microphone and stuff. So you could, hey, in aisle 5, you take, check the price on this little kid's shirt or whatever, and
he's running. He's running. Catch it. He's taking that shirt. You got to get it.
So that was my first job, and I was just a total punk. I mean, just a total punk. Someone would be at the cash register and be they get on the mic and they would say whoever, I don't know, Jake in children's section, can you look at, this blue shirt and give me the price? Okay. Yeah. 1 second. And I'm sitting there in the men's section or whatever, listening to this.
Yeah.
And then Jake would get on and be yeah, the price is, and then he'd start talking and then I would just click it. So he'd just be price is 5. Thank you. So I would just sit there and do that all the time.
What?
I did it all the time. And people would be who the f*** doing them? Stop that right now. Right now. I mean, I was a total punk. I got fired from that job.
No surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise there.
Yeah. I think about 4 months, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
So good at that. So for the Success MP quote of the day, the distance between insanity and genius is measured only by success. So that is by Bruce Fernstein. I thought that was a good one. So
That's a good one.
guys,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me on the podcast. Thank you, Justin, for your time and your energy as always, my friend.
All right, you're welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, take care.
More.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Success NP. We hope today's discussion has shed some light on the diverse career options or taught you how to improve your clinical practice as a nurse practitioner.
Remember, whether you're considering a specialization, pursuing advanced certifications, or exploring non-traditional roles, there's a wealth of opportunities out there waiting for you. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode and leave us a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. The Success and Peace podcast is on the World Wide Web, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X. So subscribe to our newsletter for updates on new podcast episodes and other information to help you on your own NP journey. You can always message us at successnpspodcast@gmail.com with any NP podcast episodes or topics you'd like us to discuss.
Until next time, take care. Stay curious and keep advancing your careers as a nurse practitioner. And just a friendly reminder, the information on this podcast is for educational purposes only. The information should not be used and substitute for professional care by a medical provider. The information on this podcast does not represent medical or professional advice or services.
Bye for now.